You know, when you think about retirement, there's this one question that just hangs over everything. And honestly, it can feel impossibly big, maybe even a little scary.
And that question is, how much is enough to retire? Like, really enough to stop working for good? Is it $1 million? $5 million? Does a real answer even exist? Well, thankfully, yes it does, and there's a surprisingly simple framework that can help you figure it out.
So, if you've heard about the financial independence, retire early, or FIRE movement, you'll know that for them, this isn't some vague dream. It's a very specific number. And the way they calculate it, it's all based on a surprisingly simple formula. Okay, so here's the rule of thumb you'll often hear. You take your annual expenses, what you think you'll spend each year in retirement, and you multiply it by 25. That's it. That's your FIRE number. But why 25? What's the magic behind that number? Well, the answer comes down to one really powerful idea.
And that idea is called the 4% rule. Honestly, it's one of the most important concepts in all of modern retirement planning. If you're even a little bit serious about financial independence, this is something you absolutely need to get your head around.
So what exactly is it? Well, put simply, the rule suggests you can withdraw 4% of your total investment portfolio in your very first year of retirement. Then in the years after that, you just adjust that amount for inflation. So, for example, if inflation is 3%, you take out 3% more money the next year just to keep your purchasing power the same. And the data shows that doing this gives your portfolio a really strong chance of lasting for at least 30 years.
So that 4%, that's the key number here. It's designed to be what we call a safe withdrawal rate. It's supposed to be enough for you to live on, but not so much that you drain your account. It leaves the vast majority of your money invested so it can keep growing and fighting off inflation.
Right, so you might be wondering, where did this number even come from? It wasn't just pulled out of thin air. It actually comes from some really serious academic research, most famously a project that's now kind of legendary in financial circles. It's called the Trinity Study.
What these researchers at Trinity University did was incredible. They dug through decades upon decades of historical market data. They tested all sorts of different portfolios, like a 50-50 split of stocks and bonds, or maybe 75% stocks, and they ran simulations to see how these portfolios would have held up through everything: booms, busts, even wars, and high inflation.
And the question they were trying to answer was a really practical one. It was basically, how much can someone safely take out of their retirement account each year without it running dry? And what they found was that, again and again, the data consistently pointed right back to that 4% mark. Okay, so that's the theory, but theory is one thing, right? Let's look at how this actually works in practice. A simple example is really all you need to make this whole thing click. All right, let's imagine you've done it. You've worked hard, you've saved diligently, and you've built up an investment portfolio worth a cool $1 million. Fantastic. That is your nest egg. So, what do? We apply the rule 4%. And simple math tells us that 4% of $1 million is $40,000. There you go. That's your income for your first year of retirement. Now this is the real engine that makes it all work. You see, while you've taken out that $40,000 to live on, you still have $960,000 left in the market. And the whole idea is that this huge remaining sum will keep growing, hopefully enough to replace the money you took out and maybe even a little more. Okay, so this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But here's the reality check. Is the 4% rule an ironclad 100% guarantee? The short answer is no, and it's really, really important to understand why.
So here's the most important thing to remember. The 4% rule is a guideline. It's not a guarantee. It is based entirely on how the stock market has performed in the past. And if there's one thing we all know about investing, it's that past performance is never a guarantee of future results.
And because of that uncertainty, a lot of financial planners these days actually suggest being a little more conservative. To give yourself a bigger safety margin, you'll often hear people talking about withdrawal rates of maybe 3.5% or even 3%. Some people just decide to be flexible, spend a little less in the years when the market takes a dip.
But look, even with those caveats, the power of the 4% rule is still immense. Its real value isn't as some strict command you have to follow. No, its value as a powerful framework for your planning. And that right there is the key takeaway. The rule takes that big, scary question, how much is enough, and it transforms it from just abstract guesswork into a concrete, practical target. It gives you a real number to aim for.
So when you boil it all down, the strategy is really just 3 simple steps. First, you build up a large, diversified investment portfolio. Second, you withdraw just a small, disciplined percentage each year. And third, the most important part, you allow the rest of that money to stay in the market and keep working for you, growing and compounding over time. Ultimately, it's that balance. The balance between spending a little and letting the rest grow that can unlock true financial independence. The 4% rule gives you the blueprint. So the only question left for you is, what will your number be?